Welcome everyone to Sysco Canada's virtual kitchen. We're talking produce today. We have some pretty cool guests on the show today. So, Steve, welcome to the show. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I gotta warn you guys. I forgot to say this earlier. When we're live, and I think everyone's going to be there, don't pay attention to that little number up there because it's not the real number. Just so you know, it's not the real one. We're live also on LinkedIn and YouTube today as well. Great discussion around produce, taking it to the next level. But first of all, let's talk a little bit about who you guys are, what you guys do, and where you come from. Who wants to start? Steve?
Sure, why not? So I'm Steve Howard. I'm a produce specialist for Sysco, Ontario, specifically Sysco, Ontario South in the Toronto region, and been with Sysco for 28 years and held many different roles at Sysco, but most recently this produce specialist role where I've been working with the produce department for over 8 years now and helping our customers increase their customers' experience in the world of produce.
Cool. Steve, you've probably seen a lot, I would say, in the produce area since 2013.
Yes.
Definitely changed a lot.
The world is changing. The expectations of the customer and the end user are changing with all of the shows like this show, for example, and of course all the shows on television. More and more consumers are becoming experts in the field. So the level at which we have to operate and the level at which our customer has to operate is being elevated.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we're going to see continue, if not more, demand within produce as we move forward out of this crisis that we've been through this last year. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit. Let's bring Nick into the picture. So Nick, where are you from? Fresh Pro Sales?
Fresh Pro Sales, yes. So we are a broker, a national broker that deals just in fresh category mainly. And we work with Steve and his colleagues across the country, Pacific Northwest in the U.S., and we help sell produce to distributors, to end users.
So you've seen a lot of change as well through these years, being since 2013 as well. In the produce.
Yes, there's just what Steve had said. It's definitely eye-opening how the consumer has become. Is Instagram is one of the things where a picture tells you the story.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you also see this as a trend moving forward, that produce is going to become more of that, I'd say next level or that center of the plate as we move forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. People are just learning more about it and the benefits of it and having more to it.
What's some of the biggest changes that you've seen, though, over these last year within produce just through COVID?
I've seen some of the items, they've kind of tightened specs. The growers and shippers have tightened specs on some things just to try and avoid waste at the end user level. I'll use one of our items. It's a Sweetheart Gem lettuce. And they've kind of shaved down the outer leaves so that there's not as much waste once it gets to the customer, so that it has better shelf life for travel.
Oh, wow. Is there anything else in the areas when you talk about waste? I think it's a huge area that most restaurateurs are looking to reduce. Was this a big issue before, or is it just more attention now because people are watching their bottom line more and more with COVID?
I think it's more paying attention because of COVID. It's always been there. People are always looking at the bottom line, but I think because that bottom line has gotten smaller, just paying more attention to it.
Maybe I'll throw this back to Steve and yourself. Do you see restaurateurs buying smaller pack sizes when it comes to produce?
Well, I think it varies from customer to customer and what their needs are. And again, with what's happened with COVID, I think labor becomes an issue as well. So some people are opting for smaller pack sizes. Some people are opting to go to a value-added produce, which is further processed into slices, wedges, dices, and that type of product, which gives them 100% yield on the product that they're going to use, takes up less space in the refrigerator, and allows them to have a consistent product without having to bring in extra labor into the restaurant.
Now, Steve, that's a great point you bring about the pre-done produce or the value-added produce. Is it? I guess most operators like, you know what, it's way too expensive. I can chop it myself. Has that myth been disappeared? Is it still there? Do people still don't believe that pre-done produce is more, I guess, valued because of the labor reduced?
I think that the people who use a lot of value-added produce have debunked the myth. I think the people who don't use a lot of value-added produce still believe that myth, that it takes a little bit of convincing. It takes a little bit of math and sitting in front of the customer and working with them to show. Value-added produce has come a long way too. I think one of the other myths involved with value-added produce is quality. And in my years, I've been around before value-added produce even existed, and to where we are today, where it's a good portion of what we do in the world of food service and in the world of retail too. And I can say that it has really changed a lot. The quality has changed a lot. The processing styles, the packaging styles, everything has changed about the product. So in a lot of cases, you couldn't tell the difference between a value-added product and something that was done in-house.
So I just want to talk a little bit about this as well, and maybe Nick can jump in here. Let's talk about that packaging, because I noticed that as well, just on pre-buying stuff at the grocery store. The packaging is getting a little bit more sophisticated, let's say. There's vent holes. Is that something that we see in food service? Is the packaging being, I guess, very, very important in making that produce last longer?
Absolutely. We're going, the packaging is consumer demand as well. Consumer demand that, it's recyclable and it's not bad for the environment. But they also need it to last X amount of days for them to be able to use it. So they've incorporated that. It's a huge business, the packaging business. And now you can see the takeout containers where it's moved to gone are the days of the foam tray.
I was going to say, I think there's still a few out there, but I would agree, especially for produce, you wouldn't want to put produce in foam.
No.
But I totally agree with you. Is there anything, do you see more of individual packaging be more prevalent as we move forward, or currently right now?
Yes. That has been our biggest ask by consumers.
You see that as
the food safety issue with individual packaging has really taken off, and the ability for people to send out something in a sanitary individual package where no hands have touched it since it's been in that package is becoming more and more popular.
Now let's talk a little bit about takeout, as we all kind of live in this new world of takeout becoming more and more. And just with the COVID restrictions, is produce getting the attention it deserves with products, or do we have opportunities here to help operators understand they can put it in the center of the plate and get good value for it?
I think we have a lot of opportunity in the world of produce for center of the plate and for sides and for entrees to, create some signature dishes. I think that fresh is what people are looking for in that world, fresh and healthy. And I think we kind of shy away from it a bit in the world of takeout and food service, because we're afraid of how long that product will last and what the quality of the product will be when it gets to our customer. And it's a valid point, and it's a valid fear that restaurateurs have. But I think that the key to it is making sure that we just got the right product for the right application. And if we're going to send salads out to our customers, let's not use flat leaf products like spinaches and romaines, and let's start looking at more robust salad blends that are made from fully mature petite greens. Nick has a product like a Tuscan blend that will withstand the travel from the restaurant to the customer and still be an incredible, good quality dish when it gets to the customer.
So Nick, what's in a Tuscan blend? Because I keep hearing this all over. Must be fairly popular.
It is a blend similar to a spring mix, but it is mature leaves. So a spring mix is 30 days generally for growing. It is a baby's. Think of it a baby lettuce, where the Tuscan blend is a mature. It's fully 60 to 90 days, depending on the variety. And it can stand up to the weather changes or temperature changes, I should say, not weather changes, but temperature changes. It can be dressed prior to going out to the customer. Because it's a mature lettuce, it withstands more. Think of a baby's skin and compared to our skin. Similar idea. We can
very
withstand.
Easy. Is it something that's very accessible all year, or is there better times of the year to get that?
It's accessible year round. We do have different varieties of lettuces that go into it. So that's where, but it's not something that the consumer would notice.
Now oh, sorry, go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say strictly for our growing regions is why we changed them.
Cool. I used to see a lot of the kale salads and everything being so popular last year prior to COVID. Is that something that's still around as well, or is people kind of going to these other mix, get a little bit more sophisticated within their blends, or do you still see kale being a big salad product?
I see both. And then I do see some places where they've kind of done a rationalization on their menu. So they're both available. They're both very hearty. They'll travel well, but it really depends on your turns and your bottom line on what you want to do as far as applications go.
Steve probably remembers when kale was just a garnish.
Garnishing kale, red garnishing kale. I do remember every mirror platter board with red garnishing kale wrapped around the outside of it, right?
Yeah, we used to have bats who could eat it back in the day. Now it's a salad. That is awesome. So let's we're gonna break for a quick commercial here, gentlemen, and then we're gonna invite Jason, Chef Jason, in and chat with him a little bit what he's been doing with produce and taking to the next level. And we'll have you guys back on, but we're gonna break for a 30-second commercial and be right back.
Restaurants are the shared kitchens and dining rooms of our communities. Beyond the basic purpose of restaurants to provide food and drink, restaurants fulfill a human need for connection and shape relationships. Acquaintances become friends around a table, and major life events are celebrated in restaurants. They bring us together. It's where memories are created. Despite the seemingly endless amount of obstacles that continue to come its way, Canada's food and beverage community continues to provide ways to support other Canadians. It's time for us to unite and do good for the industry, for the hard-working foodies who fuel our love for food. That's why we've started Foodies Unite, to celebrate local restaurants and to encourage our community members to show them some support. We want to spread the love of food coast to coast. Foodies Unite is all about supporting local restaurants and making a positive impact on the industry. Our primary goal is to help restaurants by encouraging Canadians to order, post, and share their experiences with their networks and beyond. So now's your chance to join the movement and help us spread the word by using hashtag Foodies Unite and encouraging your customers and followers to get involved.
Awesome. Those go so quick. Anyways, welcome, Jason. I got to unmute you. I muted you there. Welcome, Chef Jason.
Hello.
Hello. 30 years in the business. Would you believe that you're on Sysco's Virtual Kitchen talking produce 30 years later?
Nope.
Nope. Who thought that, eh? Same with you, Steve. You're probably, I didn't know this was going to exist. So anyways, Jason, welcome to the show. You've been in the industry 30 years. You've worked at some pretty impressive places throughout your career, and you are now at Ram Forest Café. Whereabouts is that?
Basically the outskirts of Aurora, but it's technically Stouffville.
Okay. In Ontario?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Just for us Alberta boys. We get lost. You guys throw those big names out. So, Jason, thanks again. We want to talk a little bit about produce. What are some of the things that you've been really tackling with produce and taking it to the next level?
The problem we have is Ram Forest is basically an all takeout. So our hardest stuff was trying to make sure that the produce itself would last by the time they actually eat their food and wouldn't go wilted in the containers. So it's just a lot of trial and error on that.
And you have some major critics, I'm assuming, your guests.
We do for sure.
So you've seen a lot of produce and a lot of products being put in takeout. Is there some things that you've been doing to prevent it from maybe not becoming the best dish that what you get in a takeout meal when it comes to produce?
One thing we found out with the easiest, I don't know why we didn't think about this at the start, not cook it all the way. So if it says an 8-minute time we're supposed to cook it for, we'd end up cooking it for like 6.5 to 7. That way, by the time they go to eat it in the container, it'd cook a little bit more and not be mush, or be at the actual crispness that we want it to be at.
Nice. Never thought of that.
That was something awesome. When we thought about it after, it's like, why didn't I think about this right from the start? But
so what's this past year? I always ask all of our customers that join us on our SVK show, what's this past year been like for you? I'm sure it's been just up and down every day.
For us, we were only closed down for just over 2 months because we're basically just a takeout altogether anyways. We just did a couple of renovations just to make it a lot easier for everyone to get their food instead of standing out in the cold for hours. So we basically turned everything into almost like our version of Skip the Dish, where they order their food and then one person from their group comes to pick up all their meals.
I like how you say we're just closed for 2 months, like it was nothing. Like, Steve, do you have some questions for Jason?
One of the things that a lot of people struggle with is the packaging itself. So, what kind of packaging do you find works best to keep the integrity of hot veg and as well of cold veg?
For cold, we basically put all the containers. So when I started here, we were on styrofoam containers. So we tried to go more biodegradable, and we turned to the paper. No, that's the takeout biodegradable ones. They last a little bit. They're good for salads, but we found with the hot products, by the time they went to eat it, it was starting to, the water, the juice would start to sink through and breaking the bottom. And plus, you can't microwave them. So we decided to try the black, nicer ones. It was a little bit more expensive, but all in all, they can microwave it, makes the food last a lot longer. And the product itself was just a better tasting product.
Right. Yeah. And I think the value, again, for the product to be home when by the time they get home, if they take it home with them, or because some people do at the end of the day grab their meal to take home instead. The quality takeout container makes all the difference in the world to the customer experience, right?
Yeah, because with the biodegradable ones, we had a couple of people take food home, and the bottom of it would get soggy, which would end up making the bag soggy, and then the whole bottom would just give out.
Right.
So, Jason, how important is, and I know this is going to be a no-brainer, but I have to ask, how important is good produce for you?
Oh, really important. We try to use as much fresh products as we can. So having nice produce that can actually last the longer on shelf life is amazing. Like going to Walmart to grab something usually lasts a day, maybe 2 at the most. Or if you get good produce, it can last 3 to 4, maybe even 5 days, depending on what it is.
And that probably ties into the fact that you're very cautious on waste. Waste is a killer in restaurants.
Oh, yes. We try to anything that we cut, we try to save. And what we'll do is use it on something else. Or if it's peppers or onions and all that, we end up boiling it up to make veg broth.
Yeah, I know that waste, it can get pretty pricey when, obviously, you think you're saving some buying cheaper produce, but at the end, you end up throwing a lot out.
Exactly. That's what a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, it is. And I always say sometimes it makes really expensive soups.
It does.
Yes.
Nick, do you have any questions for Jason?
Sorry?
Do you have any questions for Jason?
I was just wondering the salads. Like, so we were talking earlier, and you were talking about your goat cheese salad, and how you have that so it stays, so it travels, so it is still looking the way you want it to look when your customer opens that lid. It's just how you went about coming up with the idea of it and the components that you add and what you left out.
It was basically just trial and error. So for all of our salads, we always put the dressing on the side because if you put it on, it doesn't last that long. So as we made salads, we tried different ways. Like the strawberry and goat cheese one, we put the strawberries on originally, but we noticed in about 4 to 5 hours, strawberries would start changing the color of the lettuce. So now we just put all that on the side. So anything that's like a liquidy that could change the way the salad actually looks, we all put them all these on the side.
Awesome. Is that one of your big sellers for salads, Jason?
Oh, our salads are huge. We have a different, so every day we do a spring, a garden, Caesar, and a Greek. But then every day we have a different specialty salad. So like today is the strawberry and goat cheese I was just talking about. Every day we have a different salad, and it changes every week.
Okay.
Do you add a protein? Sorry. Do you add a protein to those as well?
They can have either chicken, salmon, or they can get falafels.
And that would be on the side as well, I assume?
If it's just for that lunch, it goes right on top of it. If it's for the vending machines or if it's somebody who asks for it to take home, then we put it on the side.
Okay.
Okay, so we have to ask you vending machines. Tell us a little bit more about this.
When I first started here, the night crew, basically they start at 5. We close at 3 p.m. So they come in at 5 and they'd be leaving by 4:30 in the morning when we open at 5:30. So they never got any way of getting anything from us. So I looked around for a vending machine. We hooked it up. It's one of the conveyor belt ones, stays cold at all times. And we just started asking them what type of food they want put in. So we started doing it, and now it's been that major success.
So Jason, because we're hearing a lot from the salads. What is your clientele like? Like, who's your customer right now?
It's varies. We have all office staff here. All the owners are in another building just down the street. Then we have all the yard guys. We have the truck drivers, the welders. There's a little bit of everything. So that's why we have different options, because we know the yard guys, they want a meatball sub, but the people in the office would rather have like a chicken breast with some asparagus or a salad. So we basically do a mixture of everything to try to keep everybody happy.
I can imagine.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay.
It's fine.
But I'm assuming you're seeing some of the guys that would probably go to a burger or a sub, probably looking for salads nowadays, right?
Yeah. See, with us, they don't pay for their food. Everyone who works here has a card, and they get up to a certain limit that they can spend every day, and after that, then it comes off their paycheck. But they have enough to get a breakfast, lunch, and a snack.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the way the owner wanted to do it that way, because before we open, he would see that people would be driving to McDonald's, take 15 minutes to get there, and then waiting in line for 10 minutes to order their food, and then driving back 15 minutes, and then take another half an hour for a break. This way, they just come here, get their food, eat it, and then they get back to work.
Awesome. So are you incorporating produce into smoothies and that kind of thing too?
Not smoothies, because they don't last here that long. We don't have a smoothie machine. We tried to do it with just using one of the Ninja blenders, but it was just too time consuming.
Yeah, little tough unless you have the proper machines, right? You'll burn out a Ninja in a second.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That is awesome. Well, what do you think when you move forward? Are you going to be playing a little bit more on the hot side or the cold side as you get into the spring right now with produce?
Spring, summer is more salads. Everyone wants their salads because they want to have their beach body ready. Always done a lot more salads during the summer. Well, mostly spring. Summer, we start doing a little bit more barbecue. But we like to do a mixture between, like, we'll do jerk chicken and then a salad and with it, or burger and salad. So then they're getting the fatty and they're also getting their salad.
I agree. You definitely nailed it for the spring. We'll all be looking for that beach body after this past year. So one thing, Jason, what would you like to tell other restaurateurs right now, as we have a lot of restaurateurs across Canada that watch our show? What would you say to them when it comes to produce? A little bit of advice from you, from all your years of experience.
My biggest thing is trial and error. Listen to what people are asking for and just test it out for yourself. And the easiest thing too is picking the produce that you know is in season. It's not going to cost you an arm and leg.
Yeah, definitely. Good advice. Steve, Nick, last words for Jason, as I know he's probably itching to get into that kitchen.
No, you know, I think that the thing that helps Jason stay in the good graces of the people where he is the quality of produce that he buys. Jason's not one to look for the least expensive product. He's looking for the best value for his dollar. So something that will yield well. In some cases, he does use value add where it makes sense. And in some cases, he uses whole product. And he's done the research. He's figured out where each product has its place within his kitchen. And I think that, you know, that's the defining difference between, you know, providing your customer with a really good quality product and being profitable at the same time. I know Jason isn't in the business to be profitable, but he does have a budget that he has to stick within, and a per diem. So, and he manages to do that and still use very high-end product.
Totally agree. Nick?
I just thank you for showing us that it can be done with fresh produce for takeout, and you know, for 4 and 5 hours of being in a container and still looking good. So thank you for that, for sharing that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to hear that the produce is not getting the back seat in your world, and you're actually utilizing it as something that you build your menu around and what you're looking for. And I can't agree more with Steve talking about the quality is so important when it comes to this, even if they're not paying, because I guarantee you they're providing you feedback on what they want and what they're looking for when it comes to produce. Awesome stuff. Well, gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for jumping on the show today, sharing us some information about produce. It's always good to talk about produce. Who thought produce was going to be so sophisticated? Like, it's enormous, right? Like, you could talk for years about produce. It's something that I think we've taken it in the past, way before, 20 years ago. I wouldn't say for granted, but I don't think we really knew the in-depth degree of produce and all the different things about it back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the focus has always been on other items for center of the plate, and produce is starting to jump into that category of center of the plate now.
Mm-hmm.
There's such a huge options now of different type of produce, different ideas you can actually do with them all.
Yeah, you know what? Even plant-based. Do you even get requests for plant-based?
We do a lot of plant-based.
Yeah?
Yeah. Beyond sausage and burgers, light life, ground beef.
Yeah.
We do turn jackfruit into pulled pork.
Nice.
So stuff like that, yeah.
Really, that's so cool that we hear that happening out there. We read in the trends, but it's great to actually hear it happening out there.
Mm-hmm.
People actually changing their diets around that.
Yep.
When you talk about trends, like, don't forget condiments and pickling, stuff like that is really trendy now, and ways to add value to your meal that are inexpensive ways, or upping your chit with premium drinks and premium mixed drinks with fresh vegetables, and using cucumbers and beets and carrots and celery as bases for your drinks, right? And what a great way to add value and increase your average ticket, right?
Do you see that a lot, Jason? The people requesting, or are you playing around pickling? Because that was
not so much. No,
not so much right now.
No, we don't have the amount of staff that needed to be able to do that.
Yeah, it takes a little bit, eh?
Yeah.
Great though. I love pickled beets and vegetables. Oh man, they're good.
And just the way you're saying that, Jay, lends credence to the fact that something like that just on the side, as part of a meal, as part of a sandwich meal for lunch that heads out with your Uber Eats or your Foodora, it adds value to the customer experience in an inexpensive way. And that's what we're all looking for, right? All restaurateurs are looking for that great customer experience so that that customer will come back again just because you have that signature thing that they can only get at your place, right?
Do you know what I saw recently, Stephen? Made me remind. Sorry, I'm going to continue. It's a great thing about guest show. You can do what you want. Is I seen people using old mason jar jars and putting salads in it and throwing their label on it. And when they actually have it, so you get to keep the, I don't know, 50 cents, 75-cent mason jar, but it's got the logo on it. It's kind of like how a lot of grocery stores are doing soups that way now.
Yeah.
And they're charging a premium price because it comes in a glass jar with a cool lid that looks old. But I see people doing this with salads right now. And I could see that with pickling too, that you could have it as a pickling product that comes along in your takeout.
Yeah. Healthy bowls with quinoa and kale and beets and carrots and, Brussels sprouts, all that in it as well, right?
Mm-hmm. I've got pieces of cocktails, takeout cocktails in those.
Yeah.
You have garnish, you have it all inside.
Yeah, we have a few of those happening out here in Alberta. Just so you know, there's a lot of liquor flying in those mason jar jars and takeouts right now.
Yeah, you can do non-alcoholic as well.
Exactly. Well, thanks again, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure to talk about produce. There's so much to learn about this. We'll have you back again next month as we, learn more. And you guys provide so much knowledge to us in produce. And Jason, all the best to you. I can't thank you enough for being a customer, but also coming on our show today and how busy you are. And I'm going to remember you saying, we were just close for 2 months, like it was nothing. But that is special, and we just can't thank you enough for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we wish you all the best. And Steve and Nick, thanks again for being on the show today. You guys bring a ton of value and ton of knowledge that we just need right now, and especially when it comes to produce.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you.
Awesome. So for everyone else, we're back next week. We're going to learn about pizzas. We'll put produce on pizzas just for you guys. We're going to learn about how you can make pizzas, how you can put it into your restaurant to generate extra cash. And we also have a great special show coming up on Thursday next week as well. But stay tuned. Check out our Facebook page, YouTube page, LinkedIn page. We're the only Canadian streaming food service show in the industry in Canada, and we have more to come. So thanks again, gentlemen. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.